September 5 was directed by Tim Fehlbaum and is the story of a sports broadcast team scrambling to cover the Munich massacre, the abduction of 11 members of the Israeli Olympic team during the 1972 Olympics in Munich, Germany. Oh boy, I picked another movie that is receiving controversy to talk about. So if you watch my reviews of Reagan or Bonhoeffer, you know how I approach this review. If you are new to my channel, though, I do not talk about political ideologies, nor mention them when I talk about movies. I approach every review grading it as an art piece and nothing more. So even though this film parallels current happenings in this world, that will not be discussed here. The art of today will not be controversial 50 years from now, and I would like my reviews to focus on future internet users and not just the ones of today. I hope that explains my stance. Now onto the review. There's the Steven Spielberg movie Munich from 2005 that covers this same material, but September 5 is not concerned about showing the on-the-ground happenings like that film was. This is the perspective of a broadcasting crew and how they handle covering the situation as it is unfolding. The group of people we follow were covering the Olympics that were going on when the hostage situation began and decided for many reasons to be the first ones to cover this situation. The entire story is told from the control room or small offices nearby it. It's a very isolated feeling kind of story. I reviewed the film Saturday Night a few months ago, and I complimented that movie for its production design and how it made me feel like I was in 1975. I must give September 5 an equal compliment because the sets, clothing, technology, everything makes it look and feel like it's 1972. I also need to give a huge amount of praise for the fact that the entire picture gives the illusion that it was shot in 16mm and uses a great amount of handheld camera work to make it look like a film that could have been made when it takes place, and adds to the docudrama feel Fehlbaum was going for. I will not be the slightest bit surprised if this film is nominated for Best Editing at the Academy Awards. It's a very good job. The movie is paced so well in a very frantic style to help imply the urgency, but also slows down when it needs to so we can see these people thinking. The music in the movie is mostly very subtle and quiet, which allowed me to get really absorbed in the thriller aspects of it, but not being drowned out with loud sound to take away from the drama that is also taking place in the high tension. This film tells a story seemingly straight down the middle. It is not concerned with taking sides on the conflict. We don't see any of the action around the hostage situation except through brief videos shown through a studio monitor and a few pictures taken. We are simply given the information of what is happening, and we are allowed to make up our own minds, whether on a real-world level or on a storytelling level. If this movie is propaganda, then it did a wonderful job of masking that because I didn't sense it once during the entire runtime. It seems to be just telling the historical record completely straight and not taking a side, and I surely enjoyed not being told how to feel. There are times when you see our characters stop and give disheveled looks to each other as more information comes in, but I saw it as a genuine reaction to an event no one in this room has seen before in their lives, more shocked than anything else. If anyone who sees this film does not know the story of what happened on that day 50 years ago, the film does a good job explaining what is happening, but it leaves it up to you to decide if you want to research why it happened in reality. So it's good at conveying the essential information. The best way to describe how it constructs its story is that imagine you were sitting in front of your TV and only learning the information as it is coming in. That's how it's able to not only convey its information, but to do the tell and not show method in a very good way. I like the fact that it allows me to use my imagination instead of showing me everything. Sometimes that bothers me in a film, but with the way this story is constructed, it worked. The performances are good, but they're not extraordinary. What I mean by that is everyone slips into their roles very well, and I believed I was watching these real people and not these actors. And no one is giving the Oscar pitch moment, if you know what I mean, and that's okay by me. That also could be a slight criticism of the movie. There's no main character for us to latch onto. Peter Sarsgaard is top billed, but every character is cold in their motivation because it's just a group of people working and nothing else. There's no insight into any character, so this is a movie that is very plot driven instead of character driven. Some may think that's a flaw, but I don't. This is also a movie that is flawed by small cuts instead of massive flaws. I wish we would have seen the outside reporters perched in their spots, but we don't since it's a tell, don't show kind of story. I also think that the pacing for the first 15 minutes is a little off because the event doesn't occur until about 15 minutes in. So at first we're not sure why we're following these people covering the Olympics. I'm talking about that part from a story construction level because the rest of the film is so fast paced and it is also a short movie. It's just over an hour and a half. So I feel that it meanders for the first 10 to 15 15 minutes. Also, there's a group of German police that come into the control room about midway through the movie to shut down the broadcast, but they are portrayed as buffoons who are easily strong-armed within a matter of seconds. That didn't need to be in there. And if Fehlbaum felt the need to address the incompetence of the police during this incident, then it should have been done more than just them getting yelled out of a room by the head of the broadcast team. It came off almost as comedic. On a fictional story level, I would compare this film to a movie called The Paper from 1994 starring Michael Keaton. That was about a newsroom that got wind of a hot story and argued over how to cover it, but the story itself was never the driving force of the plot. It was about how these reporters were going to cover it. I feel the same way about September 5. It isn't concerned with the real happening as much as it is concerned with showing you a group of people deciding how to handle the coverage of it. Would they be willing to show a murder on live TV? Were they potentially the cause of what inevitably happened to the hostages? Do the ambitions of newsheads value their ambition over humanitarian aid? These are the questions the film is asking, and that could apply to any news station that comes on to a hot story. It asks these questions without ever showing you that it is asking them. This movie is really good and was a pleasant surprise. I don't think it's a great film for reasons I mentioned and a few other reasons, but I would recommend this movie for anyone who can put their mind in 1972 and not 2024 thinking and be told a small slice of a huge event that changed the way news was covered forever. I give September 5 3.5 stars out of 4. It's a good docudrama. Thanks so much for watching. What did you think of September 5? Please let me know in the comments. I'm going to see Kraven the Hunter in a couple of days, so that will likely be my next film review, unless I decide to do a review like I did with Magnolia to celebrate its 25th anniversary. Here are links to some of my other videos. Follow me on social media if you like, and until next time, I am Ghost.